A little bit more on layers, and this is just a little rule of thumb. Layers can be very, very tricky for some, and they used to be a big head scratcher for me because I would put something on one layer and then if I try to turn the right layer off or on, it wouldn't work. So I got really confused. So I'm going to just show you a couple, I'm just going to show you this kind of example here. Don't do this. This is just me giving you an example. I'm going to do one layer called A and one layer called B. Enter. Okay. So my rule is always keep layer 0 active. And what active means is that you have the little button next to it that's highlighted. Way, way down the line when you're really, really, really comfortable with SketchUp, there's going to be a few times where you're going to want to work specifically on one layer for a very specific reason. But I would say for now, the rule is, and I do this, I would say 99% of the time, layer 0 is the layer upon which I build everything. So everything is built on layer 0 or imported on layer 0 and then moved using the entity info window onto the layer you want to move it onto. If I build something on layer A, so let's go ahead and say that I've built this now while layer A is active. Now I group it, and I move to layer B and make B active, and I go ahead and open this guy up and push-pull, and I select this and I decide, you know what, I want this to be on layer B now. So I want it to be such that when I turn, and let's go ahead and make layer 0 active again. So I want to make it such that when I turn layer B off and on, this goes away. It hides. And that's working so far for me. Now what happens if I turn layer A off and on? It also disappears. And that's not my intention. My intention is that this is on layer B, and I even check my entity info and I think, what's going on? This is on layer B. Why, when I turn layer A off, is it going away? Well, the reason for this is that if I open this up and start looking at the actual lines and faces on the inside of the group, they're all listed as layer A. So I'd actually have to select all of this stuff and change it to layer B to get this to work. Now, the reason for that is because it was built while layer A was active. So I would say it was kind of born on the A layer. And it thinks of itself, all of the stuff inside, it thinks of it as layer A geometry. When I close it, it's considering the group layer B. You will never run into a problem if you just make everything on layer 0 and then start moving your grouped items onto the layers you want to move them onto afterwards. So always build on layer 0 and always move to the layer you want to move it to after the fact. Another thing to consider with this, and this is again a personal preference, is I don't think you need a whole lot of layers. Layers in this program don't work the way they do in AutoCAD. They don't work the way they do in Photoshop. You're not really piling things on top of each other. You're not really, you have no line weights in this program that are specific to your layers. So your layers are really more for your own personal organization and presentation needs. So if you, like the typical layers I use, I would do a layer for my plans, I would do a layer for my sections and elevations. I might do a layer for furniture so that I can turn all the furniture off and on when I want to. I would probably do a layer for scale figures that I would bring into the model. I would probably do a layer for plants and exterior vegetation that I would add to the model. But I definitely wouldn't be doing a layer for walls, a layer for doors, a layer for windows. That just starts to get a little excessive. You might do a layer for first floor, second floor, but you're certainly not going to do the layers the way you would do in an architectural set of drawings. So don't go nuts with your layers. You're going to give yourself a huge headache. Your layers are really just for your own organizational needs, and they're just a simple way to be able to turn things off and on. That's ultimately the whole point of a layer. So that's kind of all we need to say about layers at this point. Let's move on to the next steps in homework 4.